This is the market video for the week of December 29th, 2014. I am Michael Saul, also known as Tiny. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday, whether you celebrated or not. Got to spend some time with some people that you care about. All right, let's take a look at what happened last week. It was a 3.5 day week. This week will be 4 days. And we had a half-day Christmas Eve, and then we were off on Christmas. We are overbought on the short term. We are stretched away from the short-term moving averages here. But I am not expecting a really deep pullback if we get one. So let me make sure I'm clear on this, because I'm actually re-recording this video because I listened back to the first one I did, and I was flipping back and forth. I just want to make sure that I'm communicating this as clearly as possible, okay? We are overbought here. I do not expect us to get a deep pullback, but we are susceptible to a pause or a pullback here into the last few days of the trading year. I do believe that we will go higher in the first quarter of 2015, whether that is at the start of the year or whether we pull back early and then we wind up rallying later on in the month or in the quarter, okay? Now, the reason that I am saying this slow and making sure that I am explaining myself is that the NASDAQ, which had been leading for a while here, is now lagging a bit. And I still believe the NASDAQ will try to get to a new high on the year, which will be a, whatever it is, 14, 15-year high, before the end of the year. If that was the case, the S&P and the Dow could pull back, okay, or they could just go sideways. But I'm still thinking the NASDAQ may want to try to go up to these highs. Okay, here's the Dow, also overbought and stretched. Here's the Russell, just shy of its all-time highs. I think they're going to hit them as well. It's really not that far. And the mid-caps were already there, and they're overbought as well. So, I mean, if you're looking at the majors, because of the way that the NASDAQ had this consolidation, it's really the only out of the big five that are not yet really overbought. Overbought on an intermediate term, sure, but on an ultra short term. I mean, these other indexes are just stretched here. So, yeah, we are definitely susceptible to a pullback here. But the reason that I'm not banging my fist on saying, yeah, it's going to happen, it has to happen. I mean, nothing has to happen in the market, obviously, right? But is that NASDAQ is lagging here, and it may want to do a little catch-up before the end of the year. I will also say this. If we continue higher here without a rest, whether it's a sideways pause or a pullback, and we continue to stretch, the farther we stretch up there, okay, the higher the altitude, the more likelihood that, you know, we can take a smack, a pullback. All right, so just keep all that in mind. The index, the sectors, rather, sorry, semiconductors, a little bit overboard here on the ultra short term. Not as bad as what we saw with the S&P, but notice this nice little pattern here. All right, does that mean that it can't flop out and go lower? Of course not. But, you know, with this and with the NASDAQ, I mean, this looks like it's setting up that it may want to trade higher into the end of the year, start of the beginning of next year. Here's Tanker, which we pointed out 2 videos ago. Now it's pulling back here also. You know, I like this one. It's acting really well. Here's Intel. Okay, also acting well. The banks. Yeah, the banks are at new yearly highs here. Okay. Stretched, yes. But again, pullbacks, pauses. I'm going to be watching them for buying opportunities. Bank of America stretched, JP Morgan stretched, Citigroup not stretched, okay, not stretched like Bank of America. The broker-dealers, yep, they're stretched out here. Here's Goldman, not quite at a new high on the year yet, but could get there with any lift. Morgan is there, right, just pulling back from it. And when we're stretched like this, it's really tough to enter fresh positions without coming from a position of a pullback or a pause. Okay, let's look at some high flyers. Amazon, right into the 50-day moving average, showing poor relative strength overall, down on the year. Could it get a lift? Yeah, I mean, we got to watch that 200-day moving average. Google, back to the 50-day moving average. Watch the 200-day if it can get above that. Netflix, You got the 50-day coming down really quickly. This thing's gotten pretty beaten up here. Apple. Okay, Apple waking up here a little bit. Maybe if the NASDAQ gets going, Apple could retry for the highs before the end of the year. It's not that far away. How about Twitter? Yeah, Twitter has resistance at these two moving averages here, but looks weak. LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn looks like it may want to try to push up higher here. Facebook ending the year. Looks like it's ending the year on a strong note. All-time highs. It's just coming off of, see, maybe it gets another pause, or maybe it just turns from here. But, Facebook definitely acting well. All right, Caterpillar. Yeah, into the 20 EMA, see if that holds as potential resistance. John Deere doing the opposite. Right, it's up above the moving averages. See if the pullback finds support. Potash. All right, consolidating here. See if it could come out of this. All right, Las Vegas Sands. 50-day moving average. Watch that as resistance. The 20 EMA. Watch that as resistance on a bounce here, but it did break down out of this sideways line. So we want to watch to see if that is resistance or not. Bonds. Okay, what are we going to do from bonds here? Are we going to come out of this and try to take out this double top? Possible. Keep your eyes on that. Here's gold, which had broken down out of this channel here. It's a little sloppy. Now it's back into the moving averages. See which way it wants to go from here. Silver is similar. Is it going to get over the moving averages, or is it going to turn back down and try to test those lows? Crude oil looks lower. Could it, get a bounce from here? Yeah, it could. It absolutely could. All right, but to me, oil looks like it's ready to go lower here. Looking at stocks like Exxon and Chevron. Okay, this little consolidation here on Chevron right at the 50-day moving average. Love setups like this because if you know where you're wrong. All right, if you lean to the upside and you put your stop right here, and if you break down, you put your stop right up here. Conoco, also nice pattern here. COP this is, so watch this one. This would be like a prime newsletter play if the newsletter was being published now, which we're getting rolled out mid-January. But this would be one we would put on, and we're not going to jump into it. We're going to wait to see if we get confirmation here. But these are the kind of setups we love because you define your risk very clearly. If you're grabbing it because it's a play off the 50-day moving average and your stop is under the 50-day moving average. Okay, let's look at grains, wheat, pulling back, see if it holds the 20 and the 200-day moving average. Corn, watch the 200-day moving average. And soybeans, waking up a little bit. It's got to get through this level up here at, 1066 and 6/8. All right, so, again, overbought, yes. Could a pullback come here? Yes. Shouldn't be surprised, right? We're in we're in high altitudes here, new highs. Okay. I do believe we are going to go higher the beginning of next year, whether it's early on or sometime in that first quarter if we decide to pull back early on. The NASDAQ is lagging right now, and I think the NASDAQ, led by the semiconductors, have a shot to go higher. Doesn't mean the broad market has to follow it, but at the least it should keep the broad market hanging out up here. So if it goes sideways or just pulls back lightly, etc. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. I tried to be as clear as I could. If it sounds like I'm not really confused here. It's just communicating it in an educational fashion for myself is. Well, we're overboard, but I don't see us pulling back. It sounds like I'm just stepping all over myself, and I hate that. We're overbought. Yes, a pullback shouldn't surprise us, but as of right now, unless the NASDAQ decides to dump out of that consolidation instead of go higher, I still think higher prices are to be seen. Have a wonderful new year, unless you're Jewish, of course. Then you already had your new year, but otherwise, have a great new year. Contact me, tiny@stockmarkettrendx.com with any questions or comments. And, oh, by the way, that's a good thing I remembered. I am hosting my annual New Year's Eve jam session. I get together on New Year's Eve every year. It's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern. I go to at least the ball drops in New York, which is 12 o'clock. And last year, I think I stayed till 2 o'clock in the morning. We talk about the market. I'll answer all your questions. And there's no such thing as off topic. I talk about everything. So don't come there and get mad if I don't talk about the market, because I'm going to talk about a lot of different topics. Really nothing, I guess, is off limits except religion. I'm not going to start talking religion with people. It doesn't really make much sense to do that. I'm sure there'll be some political discussion. I don't really take a hardline stance on politics because it offends a lot of people, but we can talk about it. And that's it. Join me if you're just hanging around. I mean, I've stopped going out a good 10 years ago. So to me, I'm usually, before I started doing this, I was usually in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So now I've decided, hey, let's do an informal get-together. I will leave the link in the description. Hope to see you then. If not, have a great new year. And I will talk to you during the week in the daily email, or I will talk to you in next week's video.